and we're going to be talking about our 5 must-have bag makers tools. So I'm going to start with, as if you're a beginner, you're just getting into bag making, maybe you've been sewing for a while and you're just starting on your bag making journey. So these are 5 tools that I think you don't have to have some of them, but they are super useful to have, and they will make your life a lot easier. Okay, so this is the first one, and if you're new to bag making, you may kind of wonder why you need a lighter, but you will have seen this on lots of tutorials, on lots of different YouTube creators' tutorials, and it's just a handy old lighter. Super cheap, but really useful for burning the ends of zippers, keeping them nice and secure, and you can burn the ends of polyester thread as well to keep them nice. You know, once you've done that little knot, you can kind of burn the ends and squish it down and keep that secure, stop from unraveling. Okay, so that's our first one. And like I said at the beginning, in case you missed it, I'm actually going to do 5 for beginners, 5 for kind of more advanced or intermediate bag makers, or those a bit more serious about bag making, and I've got a couple of extras too thrown in because I couldn't keep to 5. Let's pop that up there so it's sort of still there. Second one, which I absolutely love for bag making particularly, but for all sewing, is a friction pen. And these are just completely invaluable when it comes to bag making especially. I find that when I first found out about these, it was when I was in the film industry a bit more, and we used them on foam. We use a lot of foam in big characters, and we use them for tracing things out, because then you can put a hairdryer over it because it's a heat erasable, and it will disappear. So that's a little tip for you as well. If there's something that you can't put an iron on, you can use a hairdryer. And then I started using them on sewing. I thought, wow, they're going to be amazing for sewing. But honestly, for dressmaking, because you're handling the fabric quite a lot more than you are with bag making, I didn't like it as much, especially not if I was using it to follow the seam line. I mainly use them for notch marks where you're not going to rub it off quite as much. So we have our handy friction pen as our number 2. Try and put that a little bit more in view. There we go. So that's our 2. Third thing, and you'll know if you've been following me for a while, you will know I absolutely love this. Absolute game changer, and I hope this stops you being scared of zips. And it is our wonderful double-sided sewing tape. So it's really important that you use sewing tape and not regular double-sided. Otherwise it's going to gum up your needle, your machine is going to hate you, and you're going to hate me for doing that to you. So this is often called, you can get the brand called Wonder Tape as well, that I think washes away. But this is just from Amazon, but it's a really good one. I'll pop I think there's a link in the description. I'll pop a link, if not, in there so you can find it. This particular one comes with like 8 or 9 rolls, I think it is, here in the UK. And it's like £10 for loads and loads of rolls. Lasts you forever. And it means that you can just use it more, which, you know, is great because it keeps it all secure. Doesn't matter that it stays in there. You don't have to pull it out afterwards. Brilliant stuff. Absolutely love it. You will love it too, and it will make your zipper world so much easier. Hi Sue. Michelle says I have cut multiple friction pens as they like to play hide and seek. Yes, exactly, Michelle. You kind of need to get a 10-pack, don't you? Because they go walkies. Or I find that the kids use them sometimes. This is number 4, and this is really super helpful, particularly for bag making. And it's a bit of a funny looking thing, but it is a hump jumper. And those of you that are bag makers that are watching will know this very well. But I will caveat with saying you do not have to buy a special tool. What you can do is you can fold over some fabric a few times and then use that as your hump jumper. And actually, I haven't done a tutorial for a while on this, so maybe I'll do that as a future tip of the day. Super useful and handy for going over the bulk. This one particularly has 2 widths, so you can see this is the thicker side and this is the thinner side. And what you do is you put it behind your sewing with your needle here, and then you have your bulky kind of seam coming up there, and so then your needle or your foot behind, alongside your needle, either side of your needle, has something to rest on with that bulk, so that then when it goes across to your lumpy part of your sewing, it doesn't kind of freak out and skip stitches, which is never any fun. However, if you do skip any stitches, if you head over to my Instagram, which you can find at Studio7T7, pinned to the top of my Instagram is a little tip, a little trick for fixing your skipped stitches. Then on the other side we have a thinner one, which of course is just if you've got a thinner seam coming up, so you can switch it over. Once you start sewing, that just pops out and usually flings out the back of your machine, and you can just collect it after, and it's no big deal. Okay, so that is your hump jumper. So there we've got 4 things. Our 5th thing is the one that I talk about a lot, and you see people ask about it so much in Facebook groups. I don't actually have my trusty walking foot with me, so I have got my new Teflon foot for this is for the Janome HD9. If you haven't seen it already, I did a video that's just come out today over on the channel, which is a full review of the Janome HD9, which is an absolute game changer for bag making, and I talk about all the different things that I found that are good and bad. I actually found 7 pros and 7 cons to this machine, so you'll have to see. I mean, I've kind of given it away. I do love this machine. But the 5th one is a special foot. So ideally it would be a walking foot. That would always be my number 1 go-to, or if not, a Teflon foot. That's going to help you go over cork, vinyl, jelly, TPU, clear vinyl, all of those things. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. So you want to get yourself one of those for bag making. So those are the 5 must-have tools that are different to, maybe you've got a hump jumper for regular sewing, and a friction pen you might have, but these are particularly useful for bag making. Okay, so now we've got the 5 kind of basic ones out the way, and I always say, don't jump in and get all the tools. You don't need to spend a fortune. Just as you're going along, as you watch different tutorials, you may think, oh, actually, I'd quite like that. I've seen so-and-so use that, and that looks really handy. I would quite like one of those to give it a go. So by all means, don't go out and spend a lot of money and grab all these things. They're just kind of useful things to know about. Now, the first one that you might not know about, so I wanted to put this in here because this is a general brilliant tool for all sewing, but it still applies to bag making, and this is a pattern notcher. So what you do is, let's see if I can grab at the edge of my notebook. What you do is you put it, say you've got your pattern, and on your pattern it's got some notch marks. Say we've got one there, and you need to mark that onto your pattern, okay? Onto your fabric, sorry. So you're going to use your pattern notcher to clip and pull that out the way. Can you see that's made a hole in the page? So then when you're drawing around your pattern, you can then mark that on and mark that little notch without sort of having to awkwardly pull the paper back or the pattern back, etc. So you can get a really accurate kind of notch mark. These are not super cheap. So this is definitely, if you're kind of thinking, what do I want to put on my Christmas list this year, or what would be really handy to have, this is one of those handy to have tools. It's called a pattern notcher. Okay, so that's our number 1 for our more advanced tools. Let me move those out of the way a little bit more. That friction pen keeps wanting to sneak back in. I'm going to leave that there. Just seeing your comments. I've been waiting for your machine video. I'm thinking of getting a new one. Is the HD9 a lot better than the Elna 680? Thought I'd ask as you use it on Sewing Street, and that's the one I have. Yes, it is. The HD9, well, watch the video. I go through, I think it is 11 layers of faux leather, and it had no issue, not one bit. It just went through it like absolute butter. You'll see it on the video. I'll pop a link afterwards on the description of this video if you're watching on replay, but at the moment it's at the top of my channel, so you can find it. Right, the second thing for more advanced bag makers is fray check, and honestly you probably can get away with this for a while, but this is great if you've got cotton webbing and you want to seal the edge. I would still do a zigzag over the edge and probably fold it under, because it doesn't still look great. And bear in mind that it doesn't stain it, but it does make the fabric darker. So you want to bear that in mind, that you don't want to kind of go crazy, because you will see it. Just that it's darker, a bit like a water stain, if you like. And this is great as well if you're putting in twist locks or turn locks into your fabric and you're needing to cut that hole. You can pop this on and keep that really nice and secure. It just helps it keep it together, stop it from fraying, especially with your cottons. I wouldn't use this for faux leather, cork, that kind of thing, but like I say, really good for cotton. Okay, so that's your number 2. Let's put that down there. Right, number 3 that I think is brilliant if you're getting into bag making a bit more. And again, this is a more general sewing tool, but honestly I lived without one of these for ages, but they are quite handy to just grab. And it's your trusty point turner. And again, this is good for all sewing. I find that I do kind of nick the ends. I kind of wish that it almost had a metal tip, because maybe you can get metal ones. You'll have to let me know in the comments below if you can get a metal one. But it's really good for turning out your projects, getting into those corners. Before I was just using a pin or scissors, dare I say it, and hoping not to go through. So this stops you pointing it all the way through and breaking through the fabric. So again, a nice to have, but not a must have. So that's number 3. Michelle says, look at me with all the tools you're showing, probably do some sewing. Susan says, I think I'm all the gear, no idea. Right, so number 4, where are we on to? Number 4, again, this is a nice to have, and this is a good one to put on your Christmas list. This was actually something that I got for Christmas 3 years ago now? 2 years ago? Can't remember. There aren't that many suppliers of them in the UK, but this one is from Etsy. Someone has done a really lovely job of, I think it's cast out of resin and then they've turned it. I'm not sure exactly how you make them, but it's really pretty and they come in all different sizes. I noticed that over in the US you have some really amazing options for these, so you're very lucky over there, and maybe in Canada as well. So what is it? On one end we have a stiletto. I don't know which end. Actually, you know what I should do is mark with a little bit of nail varnish which is which, because the amount of times I pull it over, open, oh, I got it right, but normally I get it wrong. So that end is the stiletto, and this end is your quick unpick, which is always handy to have. I like this because it's a really decent size. You don't lose it as much as you do the little tiny ones. And honestly, I lived without a stiletto for ages. But for bag making, they are particularly useful because you can obviously poke holes in them. You can use them as you're sewing to feed the fabric through or the work through without getting your fingers near the needle. And, you know, it's a bit more, what's the word? It's a bit more detailed. You know, you can get in there a bit easier with it. But honestly, I used a big pin, kind of glass-headed pin. I used one of those for years. Totally fine. Again, this is a nice to have. Susan says, those pointers are beautiful. I have my name engraved and foiled on mine. Wow, that's really cool, Susan. You'll have to let us know where you got it from. You have to pop it in the comments, where you got it from, and we can put it, you know, within the comments for people to find. So no one is tempted to walk off with it. That's a good idea. Okay, so that's my number 4 of your kind of nice to haves when you're getting more into bag making. Number 5 is, again, this is one I use all the time. I would say on every single project, but again, you don't have to have it in a Teflon sheet. You can also get, I think on Sewing Street they had the hemline version, which was, they just called it an applique mat. I like this because it's not white. It doesn't look like interfacing or fusible webbing or anything. It's quite different. You can see that colour, you know, sticking out amongst your tools, which is quite good. And like I say, it's a Teflon sheet. You can see here I have nicked the bottom a couple times. Still works, totally fine. It's made no difference to it. You can get these on Amazon, and again, there's a link to this in the description below. as I say, a nice to have. You can also use baking paper as well. You don't have to go out and get a fancy sheet, but it is nice because it doesn't crinkle, especially if you are looking to make YouTube videos. It doesn't make so much noise on there and doesn't get screwed up like baking paper does. Okay, so there are your 5 kind of nice to have, bit more advanced tools. Like I promised, I'm going to throw in a couple more nice to haves. Okay, so let's move those to the side a little bit. Zoe says, I use my unpicker as a stiletto. Yep, can totally do that as well. I'm so jealous of the stuff they have in the US. I've done an order with fairy tale fabrics as my mum has a friend there who's going to post it for me. They have stunning vinyls. Oh, I'll have to check them out. Thank you for the heads up. Okay, so couple of nice to haves. Now, I know that you guys who have got your bag makers box will recognise this, but I thought I would showcase this on this video. This is my brand new Tex 35 top stitching thread, and this is a bonded polyester. This will go really easily on every single domestic machine. It is an absolute game changer, and because it's rainbow, I mean, who doesn't love a rainbow? But obviously it goes with everything. It's really hard to show you off the spool, but you see on there, and you get loads with this as well. I forget how many it is. Oh, 1800 meters. And I am going to be bringing these to Ali Pali. So if you're coming along to Ali Pali, I will have these available. If you're not coming to Ali Pali, they will be available on my site soon. I'm going, I did mention about the bag makers box. I'm going through a whole site revamp, shift around, you know, everything is having it all kind of cleaned out. It's getting a bit old and clunky, so I've got a whole fresh new website. So it will be on there very soon. If you're interested in this sooner though, just drop me a message on Instagram or Facebook and I'll see what I can do. This is, you know, one of the things that the subscribers of the Bag Makers box absolutely loved. This was included in this month's box, so now it's available for retail. Michelle says, I love your thread. Michelle says, is a comfy chair on your list? That's a must. It should be on my list, shouldn't it? Do you know what, Michelle? I don't know if you can see. I don't have a comfy chair, but I should get one, shouldn't I? I have got, this is a like cheap IKEA chair with a cushion on it. And you know what, I don't mind it. I find that the wheels don't get clogged up with thread and that good stuff. I think when I was in costume workrooms, I found that the chairs with the wheels on, sometimes with using the industrials, you'd wheel up to the machine and the wheel would get stuck on the pedal and you would just go vroom through the sewing machine. So I think I'm a bit wary of having a chair with wheels, but that doesn't mean there aren't chairs without wheels. But maybe I should look at putting that on my list. Baking Teflon sheets are cheaper to buy than the ones marketed as sewing related. Good to know, Susan. Thank you. Michelle says, love your thread. Susan says, what Tex is a thread? It is Tex 35, so it will go through any machine. This one is called Rainbow Remix. So my daughter actually helped to name it, but this one is called Rainbow Remix. Michelle's going to try it on her embroidery machine. Ooh, that would be cool. Yeah, because it's not super thick, so there are different like Texes that you can get. Commonly, you can get Tex 45, you can get Tex 70, so the higher the number, the thicker they are. So Tex 70 is for your industrials, really. Although the video that I did, the review for the Janome HD9, I did that as a collaboration with Country Cow Designs, I should say, not just Country Cow Designs. And I noticed that she has been using Tex 70 with her HD9, so I'll have to give that a go. But if you're looking for a general, all-rounder, all-purpose thread that will go through any machine, then this is the Tex 35. Okay, right, so that is one extra, and it would be a remiss to not talk about this little beauty, which if you're getting into bag making, hopefully I can, let me just move things around a minute. I know what I'll do. I'll move to that camera. So, this is the green machine from the trimming shop, and this is going to be at Ali Pali next week, and you can get it off their website as well. But why is it so amazing is because you can put in rivets so quickly and easily with this machine. Let me go back to this camera. All you do is you put the rivet into your work and then you put it into there, double cap rivet, put it in, and then you just, I'm doing this one-handed, you can just put it in there and, you know, one press and your rivet is in there. It doesn't go skew-whiff like it can do with your, you know, when you're hammering your rivets in. It is a bit more expensive. It's definitely one if you're going to be making a lot of bags. But if you are, then it's an absolute game changer. You can put in magnetic snaps with it, which I particularly love. And actually, I will just grab the pouch that we are going to be making at Alexandra Palace, because I use the magnetic snap in there. So you can see there it has a really nice cap on the outside, and then it has the magnetic dies or magnetic snaps underneath. So you can put them at the end of your project. You don't have to worry about putting them in between layers, that kind of thing. So it's really nice addition to your bag making tools. Right, so let me pop across to here and check the comments. It goes in the bobbin well too, that's good to hear, Stacey. I've only used it on my HD9 actually, so I've not used it on my, I have Bernina 480 as well. Haven't checked it on there. My machine seemed to hate it in the bobbin, so do try it, Zoe. I have a hump jump, Angela says, I have a hump jumper but still find it misses stitches sometimes. I don't have an Instagram account though. Do you have your tips for dealing with missed stitches anywhere else, please? I don't think it's on Instagram, but you know what, Angela? I'm going to do that for the next live. So next week, I'm not going to be able to do a live because, like I say, I'm at Alexandra Palace doing the knitting and stitching show. I know it's going to be really full on and it's going to be a late night. So I'm not going to be able to do next week. But the following week, I will put it in my diary to do the missed stitches on here for our live. And Zoe says the green machine is on my Christmas list. That's a brilliant idea, Zoe. Get it on your Christmas list. Okay, everybody, that is it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions and you're watching this on replay, please do pop them in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed already, I would love you to join us on this channel. I do lots of bag making tips and tricks and tutorials, and I go live here almost every Thursday at 8 PM British Standard Time. At the moment, we are British summertime even. We're going to be jumping back to GMT soon though, just to keep everybody on their toes. So I hope you can join me back here for our lives. I am going to try and schedule it a bit more so you can find it a bit easier. I know that makes it easier for you to find. If I can go live next Thursday, I will try to go live. So if you see me live, that means I'm at Alexandra Palace, so do jump on and say hello. If there's any quiet moments in the show, I will try and go live. Do hit the like button. I can see a couple of you are liking it, so please do hit that because that tells YouTube that you're enjoying this video and pushes it to more people as well. Thank you so much. You can find everything that I've mentioned in the description below, and I hope to see you again soon back here on the channel. Until then, happy sewing, and don't forget to share your makes in the Facebook group Sew, Create and Craft by Studio 77. Thanks everybody, take care, bye.